Somebody can take Facebook or Twitter to the court.
It's not possible that it has not originated from wet lab market in Wuhan.
The media have already prejudged the situation.
What happens to these companies and whether there will be any Twitter at all in India 2 days from now, because if things stay the way they are, that's a call the government will have to take about whether the social media companies can operate in the country if they haven't followed the government's advice to them.
February 25th, government had notified these guidelines for OTT platforms, news aggregators, news platforms, and all these social media intermediaries. Now, in that category, the government had created a demarcation: social media intermediaries and significant social media intermediaries. The later one was for those who have a 50 lakh or above subscribership or users in India. Now, these significant social media intermediaries were asked to appoint a grievance officer, a nodal officer, and a compliance officer, plus were asked to create a mechanism in which they will be informing on what grounds, what posts have been removed, deleted, and others, kind of a monthly report. Now, what sources the government are saying, none of the companies, Facebook, Twitter, and others, have complied with the rules, which are coming to be in play from day after tomorrow. Means the deadline is tomorrow night. What does it mean for them? Now, the threat may not be significant. They can continue to operate. But under the social media intermediary rules, there is a clause in the Indian laws, that these intermediaries cannot be taken to court for objectionable content. For example, if I post something objectionable, somebody can take me to the court, but not Twitter or Facebook. Once they don't comply with these rules, from tomorrow night or day after tomorrow morning, they will cease to be social media intermediaries. That status will go, means somebody can take me for an objectionable post and Facebook or Twitter to the court, open for penal action for objectionable content.
What explains this exponential rise? Because all kinds of theories, Dr. Guleria, are floating around.
Now, there are multiple factors for this. One factor, of course, is that India is the diabetic capital of the world, and we do know that we have a large number of people who have diabetes with very poor control. And that is one risk factor which we need to really understand and accept. The second issue is that we have a lot of drugs which are available over the counter, and many people start steroids on their own, continue it for a long time. Today we saw a patient who was continuing steroids in high dose even after discharge on his own and had gone on to develop mucormycosis. And of course, thirdly, we are seeing a huge exponential number of cases as far as COVID-19 is concerned. So larger number of cases, more uncontrolled diabetes, more use of steroids. In absolute number, the number of cases of mucor will be more.
Why is there a shortage of medicines? How long is it going to take to resolve this drug shortage issue, particularly because we are talking here of life-saving drugs?
There are three critical factors in amphotericin B liposomal. One is the drug by itself as amphotericin B powder. There is only one producer in India and the capacity is only 25 to 30 kilos per month, which is very small compared to the current requirement. Second is we use two important lipids to manufacture these liposome, and there is only one manufacturer in the world in Switzerland who had scarcity, who were unable to supply because of the usage of these in some other vaccines or some other things in Europe. And third most important thing is the filters which we use along with these vials for the doctors. Now this is coming from United States, and this also is in a short supply. This is a complex molecule, and the lead time of manufacturing is not less than 25 to 30 days.
The government has moved very slowly on this. This is only after the centers said that this is an epidemic that the state declared it as an epidemic. It should have moved, and it should have moved on time. This is last minute when the cases are rising. There's a steep rise in the number of cases.
Is the scientific community convinced that the Wuhan Wet Market was a bogey and that a probe is a must into the Wuhan Institute of Virology, sir?
It's not possible that it has not originated from wet lab market in Wuhan. What you are seeing these days, and what we are trying to study more about, is the alternate hypothesis that there is still a possibility that instead of the wet market, the virus has probably somehow escaped or leaked from the virology institute in Wuhan. So it's not that anybody is saying that it has not originated from wet lab. We do not have conclusive evidence to say that it has not.
There are two aspects of this virus which strengthen the theory that it originated in a lab. The first is the fact that the virus from the very beginning has been well adapted to indoor transmission. Animals, as you know, live generally outdoors. So if it came from animals, it should be easily transmissible in outdoor settings. The second aspect, in normal circumstances, a naturally occurring virus takes a while to figure out how to become more and more efficient. From the beginning, this virus has been transmitting efficiently across all geographical and climatic zones, regardless of ethnicity, race, gender, and age.
The World Health Organization team, members who visited Wuhan, said they did not get access to data and information that they sought.
That is correct. They asked for information about cases that had been they asked for information about, in months before. They said that there were some cases involving respiratory distress, and they wanted to know what the diagnosis was, whether there were any tissue examples, etc. The Chinese said that they did not have that information. They did not say they wouldn't get it. But there's been some real concern in China that, the media, such as yourself, have already prejudged the situation, and that you take anything that is said as an admission of guilt. If the table was turned and China was doing this to India, you'd be outraged. And quite frankly, I mean, there are plenty of things to be outraged about. This, the fact that you're quoting Donald Trump and Pompeo, who did their best to pretend that the COVID-19 virus was not something to be worried about, that America was prepared. It sounds to me like many governments in Brazil, United States, and even India are interested in finding a scapegoat